Yo, 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 YouTube. Welcome back to another live with Charlie and my man Stu. Wait, my goat Stu? Man goat?
He's out of the rabbit goat hole.
He's out of there. Yeah. You say something once and you never live it down, right? Isn't that how it goes? So, how are things going, Charlie?
It's good. Another week in the books. Got another win on the football field.
I saw that you beat Ash Waterbong, huh?
That's right, Ash Waterbong.
Nice.
Yeah, they gave us a good fight through the first half. They actually led us at halftime 7-6, but true to form, my team is getting to be known as a second half team, and we ended up pulling out the victory 20-7.
Awesome! Congratulations. That's the last game of the year.
No, we're at the halfway point, man. Halfway.
Really? Oh, geez. I thought you guys were almost done.
Yeah, 4 games in, 4 games to go.
Well, keep on trucking. At least you're getting some wins. That does make it a lot better.
It does.
It's more fun.
It's winning is fun. Of the year now where all the kids have like bumps and bruises, and I had to have that talk today where I'm like, guys, you got to understand, you're playing bigger, stronger, faster than you ever have before. You now are at that point where you're never going to be 100% again this season. You have to get used to it.
Suck it up.
Yep.
Did you tell them what happens when you turn 40?
No, but I did say, because one of my kids was like, I wake up every morning, coach. He's one of our big offensive linemen. It's like, I wake up every morning, coach. I feel like I get hit by a truck. And I said, well, welcome to my world.
Yeah. It only gets worse, later in life for sure. Especially if you got hit a lot when you were younger.
Right.
Tends to add up over time.
Yeah.
So we got a couple people in the chat, so let's get some highs here quick so we don't get too far behind. MD Sports joined us. Welcome. Glad to have you back. I cut you off from watching my latest videos. Sorry I wasn't able to stop by. Saturday was swamped. Hey, man, if you're swamped at a card show, that's not a bad thing. No worries. Maybe next time. Yeah, we actually talked about it. We were like, hey, I wonder if MD's going to stop. We don't know what you look like, so it was going to be on you to find us. We can't find you, so... but yeah, no worries. We were really busy too, mainly buying stuff more than selling, but that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the card. We'll talk about the show a little bit.
And you said you've been gone for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you were gone for quite a while. Yeah, you have to kind of build up that box inventory a little bit. It's not something you have on day one, so it's going to take you. You had a lot more this time, Charlie, than you did last time.
Yeah,
and you'll have more the next time. So, keep going for it. I was buying a lot of lots. That's kind of where most of mine came from. If you're just buying at shows and cherry picking cards, you shouldn't have a lot of stuff that ends up in your 10-cent box or your quarter box, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It was fun. It was fun. I made some money. Sold a couple of Favre cards. I finally got the video out today. You probably hear it a little in my voice. I fell under the weather on Monday. My daughter had a cold. No, Tuesday. My daughter, I had to pick her up from school during the day on Monday because she ended up feeling sick at school. So I went and picked her up. She had this cold sinus thing and blah, blah, blah. She was fine the next day, and then whammo, I got hit with it. So it's like a one-day cold. It's really weird. But so I'm on that like cleaning out stage, right? So it's kind of like a little stuffy in here yet, and a little congested in here, and voice is a little bothered. But yeah, and that's one thing when you own your own business. There is no day off. I worked every day anyway. But love what I do, so that helps. But yeah, and at least I could be home. But yeah, I've been taking some cold and flu stuff, and it's not fun. But maybe I get it over with now, and I don't have nothing during the holidays. That's kind of the hope.
Well, there you go.
Tom says, "Don't worry, I'm here." Oh, thank goodness.
DB, how many get listed this week?
Yeah. Anytime you get on this show, that's the first thing Chuck's going to ask you is how many did you list? It's funny. I got a nice big pile here of stuff I listed today. This is how much I listed today.
Nice.
Right? I'm like, oh, I got all these cards listed. I got to be up to like over 32,000. No, I'm at like 31.5. Like it's a snail's pace, you know. And for as long as you and I were talking before the show started here about like a bigger order, right? Somebody comes in and all of a sudden you get the wham, 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 wham. You know, somebody buys 15 cards or whatever, and you get 2 or 3 of those in a day, and it wipes out 60 listings like that.
Exactly.
It takes you a while to get those 60 listings back up there. Not a bad thing. You never want to, you know, poo-poo sales, but
no, I was lamenting the same thing though. Like I've been talking the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to get up over 1,300 with limited time to list, and I finally did it. And I actually started pulling away a little bit, and then I had a big order, and I'm back down under. So
and the higher your listing number gets, the quicker it drops, because you should have, that's the whole point, right? You should have more to shop, more options for, and hopefully you have more multiple sales from a buyer versus single card. Yeah, it takes her. Even sometimes I'll list a quantity of something. Oh, great, I got 10 of these. I'll put them in here, and somebody buys all 10.
Right.
You know, yesterday I had a Jeter card that somebody bought the entire quantity of. Then I had that Upper Deck Primetime Dion card.
Okay.
I was getting those like out of nickel boxes forever, and now of course everybody's buying them. But I had 15 of them. They're all gone. I sold all of them in 2 days. Nice. I sold 3 singles. I sold 2 card orders, and then somebody bought the rest of them all in one order. So, you know, I'd probably built up the quantity of that card over the last couple of years, and boom, like that, they're all gone.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting how that happens. Tom says he turned 40 this past spring. So yeah, you know what we're talking about then. It's good times. The downhill effect is definitely a real thing. If you can manage the energy and the time to keep yourself as fit and healthy as possible, maybe you can get past it for a little while longer, but eventually. So I used to run every day. The only exercise I ever liked was running, which sounds stupid because that's the thing that most people hate. But as a soccer player all growing up, it was lots of long distance. I ran every morning for years and years and years, just up till about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, right before Luna came home, and injured myself. And basically the doctor's like, yeah, you're getting kind of old and you got a bigger body, and running and stuff, maybe not the best thing. And then that's it. That was it. It was all taken away from me, essentially. You know, it starts playing hell on your knees and your joints and your ankles, and running is very, very tough. And I run through woods, so I'm running basically on ground and wood chips, uneven ground sometimes, but I'm not running on concrete or anything like that, but still just tears you up.
Yeah.
So, and I always ran in toe shoes too. So like it's like the toe shoes, yep. All terrain running shoes is what I always ran in. Yeah, they're amazing. You'll never turn an ankle because, like, let's say you're running down sidewalks, right? And you got to step off the curb. Well, let's say you sort of misstep that curb, you're gonna twist something. But in the toe shoes, you all of the parts of your foot bend independently. You know, your toes can wrap around something.
Sounds like a challenge. I think I could roll an ankle.
Well, if you're running in the woods, it's good because you get like sticks and roots that kind of are in places, and you can't have like a flat shoe that just hits that thing and, you know, or catches on it or whatever. You almost have to. Well, barefoot running would really be the best, but I have no way in hell I would run barefoot through the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, MD says all good. We will meet up at some point. I wasn't able to go to really any table at all. I had some vendors bring me stuff. Again, not a bad thing. It was a very busy show. We had I thought it was a great show. We'll talk about the show in a little bit here. That's one of our topics for tonight. How much did each of you make at the show? Just get to the nuts and bolts, eh, buddy?
Yeah, it
is. Let's see. After the table fee or before the table fee? So I made about $85 from my 10-cent boxes, and then I did a little side card sale from a farm collector that I work with for $100. So I was at about $185 by the time I was done after the table fee. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Considering I was selling dime cards, I'll take that. For me, it's more just clearing out the inventory, and I actually really like setting up at that show because I like the dealers that I buy from there, and it gives me that early access to shop, as you see in the video.
Yeah.
That has value to me too. So, and it's a great community. I live in Green Bay, so it's good for me to make those connections with the local sellers and buyers. I have a lot of friends and family that stop by that we know. I get to do the show with Charlie, so that's always a nice plus. And his kids, his boys are awesome. So yeah, it was a good show. It was a good show. I'd take $85 to $100 on dime cards any time. That's a great return for me. I don't expect anything back out of those. So, and I cleared up like almost a full row and a half out of my 5-row boxes.
Yeah.
So it gave me some space to refill too.
Yeah, I would have been happy with that. I didn't quite hit those numbers. I was more around $30-$35. My youngest son sold a bunch of Pokemon, and he likes to let me know that he sold more than me. So,
does he pay any of the table fee? I was going to ask you this.
What's that?
Does he pay any of the table fee?
No.
It's a sweet deal for him.
It is.
It's a sweet deal for him.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the things I really enjoyed, and I kind of mentioned this to you, Charlie, while he was sort of making a deal, because Caleb, I think, was doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said his name. My bad.
That's okay.
Okay. Anyway,
you want me to bring him down right now to talk about the experience?
Well, I don't want to put something out there if you don't want it out there. You know, it's internet world. I get it. I have this battle with my daughter every day because she makes videos and I help her edit and stuff like that. Yeah. And she's like, I want to post this public so I can get all these likes. And
right.
Like, if you're going to be on the camera, you're 8. I don't really want that. You know, I know there's people who make money off their kids on YouTube. That ain't my MO. So anyway, I digress. Anyway, I pointed this out while the transaction was happening, but it was really cool to see your son working with another kid, probably about his age, I would think. They seemed pretty similar in age.
Yeah.
Just trying to work out a deal or a trade, or, well, the last one on eBay sold for this, and those are skills they don't get in school. And even if they do get in school, it's not taught. It's not the same experience, right? It kind of brought me back to when, I was 12 years old. The very first thing I ever sold was a baseball card. I used to set up at shows with my cousin in the batter's box. Remember the batter's box in Green Bay?
I do remember that.
Yeah. So they had the batter's box was cool. They had like a little video games, like a little arcade section off on one side. They had all the batting cages. I think they had like a tennis cage or something too at one point.
Some basketball slam ball courts too.
The dunk hoops. Yep. And then they had a little card shop in there, and they would do a card show like once a month. This is weird because tables are still $25 at like a small show. I remember paying $25 for a table when I was 12.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You would have think it would have been cheaper then.
Yeah, it hasn't gone up a lot.
Yeah, it hasn't. So yeah, I don't know why that is. But anyway, me and my cousin, my parents would drive us. I didn't even have a driver's license. My parents would drive us there. I had my own little display case I bought out of a dime store that was going out of business. Put a few cards in it. I came up with games. I had like a roll of dice, and you get this envelope with the card in it.
Okay, yeah.
And, I did all that. I did all that stuff. It was a great experience. And then working with adults was weird. Like buying and selling with adults. So you could tell a lot of them were trying to scam you, which I'm hoping there isn't much of that in the community these days. But back then there was. It was all these old guys dealing cards.
Yeah.
And they didn't like the kids in it, and they'd get mad if you would sell something cheaper than the Beckett price because you're the one bringing the hobby down. I remember hearing stuff like that. It was really weird. It's really interesting to see the next kids, and that's something, like I said, that I really enjoy about doing a show, that you don't get that experience any other way, really.
Right.
So my $50 every 3 months to see that is well worth it in my mind.
Yeah. And to your point about some of those exchanges with my boys and adults, the adults that were there were really good to see them working with the kids. You know, I was personally overhearing a lot of those conversations and didn't feel anybody was trying to take advantage of them. In fact, a couple times I heard adults give them, more money than my kids were looking for. So,
Sure.
and it wasn't a lot. It was like, oh, I'll give you another $1 for that. We don't really have to, bargain it down or whatever, So, so I thought that the crowd was really good at that, and not like the examples in the past, right? Like when we were,
And and that show is very kid heavy. There's a lot of kids that come to that show. I told you about the little girl who wanted the 2 Star Wars cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of my 10-cent box, 20 cents, right? I could have just gave her the cards. She wanted to buy the cards. She got her little purse out, and she had a bunch of change in there, and plus I owed you 20 cents, so that worked out perfect. She dug out, a dime and a couple of nickels, and she was excited. She bought 2 stars. She bought a Princess Leia card and a C-3PO, I want to say. It's not in the video, unfortunately. I didn't have video, but I try to watch posting video of kids anyway. If I don't get permission, I don't really want to, I don't know.
Sure.
Kind of my take on that thing, especially because I'm monetized, But yeah, so that was really cool. I thought that was important. And her dad was like, yep, she's got her 20 cents. She's going to buy, or yeah, it was her dad with her. She's got her 20 cents. She's going to buy these 2 Star Wars cards. And so I think that's awesome. I think there's a lot of experience in there that's good for these kids.
You brought up a good point too. That's worth mentioning. My first sales of the day were while I was gone from the table and left my kids there with it, and it was you. You bought the first cards I bought of the day.
It was, yes. I bought a Mike Tyson. I bought a Mickey Mantle Topps insert card, and then I bought, what was the other one I bought? Oh, a Shaq insert card.
Shaq,
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I got those listed today, by the way. So we'll see how they do. So I had to throw the Tyson on a deal because it's got those scratches, but
right.
I'll still easily make some money on it. So
yeah.
But what's interesting now is, since I'm working more at my actual laptop, every day versus I was just working on my phone when I was at my other job.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see the value of my listings grow, like the dollars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll come back from a show, I'll spend $80 at a show, I'll list everything, and it's like $900 increased value in my assets. So we don't necessarily just need to look at the quantity. Sometimes the dollar value is something that can be encouraging too, because you can get a dime card that you sell for $1.99. Well, there's not much in there. But you can also get, like that Brady numbered card I got, you can get a dime card you can sell for $40.
Yeah.
Well, now you really got something, and if you end up with an entire, like that huge long box that I got at Green Bay with such great cards in it, a bunch of them I sold already. I haven't even released I shot the video of my pickups, but I haven't even released it yet. When I go and make the video, I'm actually going to put on there which cards I've sold already since I bought them. I've probably got most of my money back, and it's been 3 days. So it's just something that I kind of wanted to point out, as we're like, how many listings do you have? How many listings do you have? Make sure that the assets are growing too.
Yeah.
Because if you're just selling all your good cards and now you have a lot of listings, but they're not worth anything, that maybe your buying isn't going so well right now. Maybe you're buying a bunch of stuff that doesn't really have very good return, and that's you're spinning your wheels, right? You're doing a lot of work for hardly any money. You have to watch sort of both of those numbers. I think that's a good thing to make mention here. It gets kind of washed out as you get bigger, I think, because like I look at my asset value on eBay and it's a pretty large number. And if I had a few $100, it really doesn't seem like that number changes much, but a few $100 is a few $100, right? And if you're doing that every couple of weeks, every few days, like there's real growth in there.
So
I doubt your 401k grows $800 a week.
probably not. So is there like a ratio that you would recommend that you want to kind of look for, or a range?
Honestly, no. Because I think it's gonna be different for everybody, and I also think that anytime you make profit, you're still coming out ahead. And there is going to be some times where you go to shows or you're buying a lot or whatever, and the margins just aren't that big, but they're all cards you can sell.
Right.
So it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I guess the reason I wanted to throw the caution out was just don't consistently be that. Don't just settle for, well, I can make a couple bucks here, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly push to try to find something. You and I sat at those 10-cent boxes for probably, between the two of us, probably 5.5 hours.
Right.
At that guy's table. We put our time in to get those really good cards. I mean, I did a lot better than you did, but I mean, but I'm all jokes aside. I think it's important to invest to also make sure that you're getting some quality product to resell, and you're not just 10 cents to $1, 10 cents to $1, 10 cents to $1. Try to shoot for the moon a little bit, on some of those.
Yeah, but
then you got it. Then some of it's luck. Some of it's luck.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I asked. Maybe if you think about it in terms of a ratio, like, do you want to look at the number of cards in your inventory, and do you want to compare that value and look for a 3x, a 5x, a 10x? What are you really looking for? Like mine is probably like a 4x right now.
But see, even that depends, right? Let's say I get a $50 card for $30. Right? If I buy it for 30 and I sell it for 50, I'm not even doubling my money, but I made $20.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's different than like a 10-cent card. You don't want to make just 10 cents off of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because now you're spending the same amount of time as you did to make the $20 on the other card. That's why I don't think it's that straightforward. I think the main thing is, as you're getting your sales and as you're adding inventory, watch your asset value and make sure that that's growing.
Right.
You don't really want it to be shrinking. So you're adding more cards, but you're as you're making sales, you're not growing that asset. I think that's the bigger thing to watch. And yeah, if you want to get all data techie type person, which I'm not as much, sure, you can spreadsheet every single thing you buy, and if you want to do that, I think that's great too. I don't know. I just don't. At some point when I can hire a full-time accountant, that'll be something that I'd look more for. Right now, I'm the full-time accountant, and that ain't gonna happen every day. So, just trying to chug it along and get the growth to the level I want it to be at, and then reevaluate some of those measures for growth at that point. All I know right now is my listings are growing, my assets are growing, and I'm making money, and that's enough for me right now to be able to survive in the world and make it to the next day.
Right.
So, because my target numbers, I don't want to talk about all the numbers and stuff. That's not fun. But I kind of send you information once in a while. Hey guys, I hit this number finally. For the quarter. I'm trying to hit this number so that I can now do this. So I think as part of your goals, your asset growth needs to be part of your goals as well.
Right.
Whatever that means to you. Huh?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
As a concept, I was just trying to think of, like, how do you measure whether you're at a good place or not? And that's a little tougher to answer.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like listings, right? Is there a specific number that should apply to everyone for that? No. So I think it's kind of the same way with your asset value growth. Is you just want to make sure that you're seeing growth while you're still getting sales. So you're buying quality inventory, not just getting listings.
Yeah.
Listings don't guarantee you sales. If you're listing a bunch of 1991 Fleer Commons, I don't know that you're really going to grow your business with that. Right. So, and I think that's to some degree. Some of this is just obvious, right? You know you're gonna get more for your numbered Brady card than you are your 1991 Fleer Noma Garciaparra, right? So, I don't know. It just, I hadn't really looked at that number in a while, and then I looked at it and I was like, whoa, my asset value has really grown.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that would be a good thing to mention that. It's at least something that you should stay conscious of. If you click on your listings tab in your seller hub, it tells you the number of listings you have and the value of those listings.
Right. And that's the listed value.
Real easy number. I'm sorry?
That's the listed value.
Correct. That's what you're asking.
Like your what's the other thing they have where it can show you the cards you've purchased and the market values?
Oh yeah, I don't use any of that crap.
Yeah.
I don't care what the market values are. I ask the price that I think I can get for the card, and I go from there.
Right.
Yeah, you want to, it is let's see, what does it say here? Yeah, it literally just says number of listings. So my listing number is 31,592 right now. And then it says the dollar value of all those listings. And then it says quantity, 69,785, because I have multiples of some of those cards. So I technically have almost 70,000 listings, which is kind of insane. So, and now that dollar amount is going to be your asking price. So obviously, if you're accepting less, with offers, or you're giving bulk deals or something like that, obviously that number is going to shrink from there. But if somebody were to come in and buy my store at all of its retail price, that's the amount that I would ask for it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tom says he finally broke over 300. He's going to run out of the free ones, pretty sure, for the first time. That's how it starts. Charlie, what do you think he should do now, Charlie?
Well, I think he's got to buy a subscription now.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yep. That's where it goes. And then you're going to end up bumping to premium.
Yeah.
Once you get to the real numbers, you're going to do that premium. You're going to get that $50 in free supplies every quarter. It's glorious. And then the wheels come off because you're like, man, I got 66,000 listings. Let's do this. That's what happened to me. And then,
now what do?
You're doing it 8 hours a day is what you're doing.
Right.
So it was kind of funny. We talked a little bit before the show started too about sometimes I like to do random math, right? If math is fun for me. And I asked Charlie, how much do you think you have to make per hour if you were making money 24 hours a day to hit $50,000 in a year? And I think, were you surprised at the answer, Charlie?
I was, yeah, a little bit.
Should we give them the answer or should we have them guess?
Let's have them guess.
Well, let's get some guess here. We want chat tonight. Chat is good. How much do you think you need to get per hour to make $50,000 in a year if you're making money 24 hours a day, 365 days a year? So not like your 40 hours a week bullshit. Your 40 hours a week check you're getting from your employer, who doesn't pay you on the weekends or pay you on your sleeping time. But if you had passive income, so you had income 24 hours a day, how much do you need to make an hour to get 50,000? You guys are out there with a calculator. You're totally going to bust on this, and you'll just know what it is because you have access to it. But yeah, the number is actually fairly surprising. Bargain Boxer says he just turned 60. Old might be here. Yeah, I hope to make it that far, brother. Good for you. 60 is awesome. Live and kicking and doing what you want to do. That's awesome. Congrats. Tom says the same thing. I hope to make 60. No guarantees. Judging by the stuff I have seen in your video to the 15-minute point, I wish I had a little more time away from the table. I just got to the Picket Illusions box. Yeah. There's a couple of dealers at that show that I know have banger boxes every time, and I make make every effort possible to get to those. I even went to the show early on Saturday and set up early, so because I knew I could steal a little time then before the doors opened, and that worked out. That worked out to my favor for sure. Let's see. Nothing can replace real-world hands-on experience. Awesome. Your son had a good time. I did business with a ton of kids. Guessing he may have been one.
You may have, yeah.
If you do Pokemon, sure, it's possible.
I will tell you that he turned around all of his sales into new purchases.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part is keeping the money and not reinvesting all of it. My model is what I want to do. Now I want to make a certain amount of income, obviously too, but I want to try to take 20% of everything that I sell and reinvest it. Okay. So if I sell, $7,000 in a month, I want to take $1,400 and buy more stuff. If I spend less than that, it's great. I got more money for myself. If I spend more than that, well, then I cut into next month, So you have to. I give myself some leeway with it, but I think that's a pretty good number, and I can easily continue to get new product and increase my listings without, like you said, taking every dollar and putting it right back in, which was what I was doing for probably the first year or two. You have to capital invest in a business like this. If you don't have inventory, you have nothing. So
yeah,
I did that. I mean, I sold stuff and I bought stuff, and I was doing a lot of PC at the time. I'm not really buying as much for my PC anymore. I'm got what I want for that, except for like really expensive stuff I'll never find. But yeah, so you have to take some of your sales and put them back into your business. It's the only way to survive. Yeah. 58 sales with 303 current listed, average out to $64.77 per item, and profit average of $19.50. It's pretty good when you're doing those little bit higher numbers. We do being Charlie and I do the low end. We have to have higher multiplication on our sales versus our price. Margins need to be bigger because they're smaller dollars, if that makes sense. All right. Pretty happy, starting to average 1 card a day this month sold, which is up. So just keep listing and eBay will reward you. You guys are so right. Wish I had Zoom to do the research study sent out. Yeah, there's no like rocket surgery to any of this. It's buy good quality cards. I bought this out of a dime box, a Josh Allen red, white, and blue prism refractor. Listen to me. I talk like a 90s Topps Chrome kid. I got this out of a dime box. I don't know how, but I mean that's a no-brainer that you're going to make money on a card like that. So you just have some discipline and stick to buying stuff, that you get to know your market, buy some stuff, sell some stuff, and then just go at it full bore from there. Start buying quantity, things like that. Question, would you rather buy 10 cards for 10 cents each that you can sell for $3 each, or would you rather buy 1 card at $20 that you can sell for $50? I think the answer is obvious for me. I love my 10-cent boxes. But there's an argument to that. If I can sell that 1 card like instantly, that's a quick $30, whereas the other 10 cards, am I going to sell all 10 of those cards right away, or do I have to sit on them at $3 a piece? What are my fees? Am I selling each card individually and I got to pay an eBay fee on each one? So there's some. It's not that answer is not quite as straightforward, but I like the dime cards more.
Yeah, I would probably in that example, I would probably buy the 1 card for 20 that I can sell for 50. But if I was buying 20 cards for 10 cents that make $3 or sell for $3 each, then I would switch over to the lower end cards, just because you start to get the volume margin then.
Well, and think about it this way too, right? So there's nothing in this equation here that says any of these are going to sell instantly. So do I want the $20 tied up into one card, or do I want $1 tied up into 10 cards where I can make $3 here and there as they ping and go out the door? Right? So I think time frame would matter on it. There's a lot of cards that I bought for 10 cents at the show this weekend that I sold already. Did I mention that on this show, or did we talk about that ahead of time? But anyway, I haven't even made
a little bit ago that you sold.
A little bit ago, yeah. I haven't even made the video yet, and I already have some sales. So I'm gonna, as I produce the video, I'm gonna put on there, yep, sold. Here's what it sold for. Because I think that transparency has value. Because part of our goal in doing all this is, education, right? So we could all learn from each other, and if we share our experiences, that's the best way to learn. But here's what I can tell you about trying to sell cards that are $50. Okay, I go to a lot of card shows, and I see the guys with the cases, and the average card in a case is maybe $50-$60. They spend all freaking day trying to sell those few cards. No thanks. I don't want to do that. I want my cards that I know I'm getting at a good enough discount. I don't have much capital in them. I throw them in there. When somebody's ready to buy, they buy. That's why I never did the high end, and why I started this channel, because there was so much promotion for all the high end cards. And I'm like, the argument was always, well, with low end cards, you're doing so much work. No, you're doing a lot of work on a high end. Try to sell a $10,000 card. Try to find a buyer for that. Try to find a platform you can trust where you're not going to get ripped off. Try to find, something where you're not going to pay a ton of fees to get that done. Try to ship it safely and insure it. Right? There's a lot of work to, that side of things too. So yeah, I'm more of the buy lots of bits and let the bits go as they go. I spend a lot of my day. I'd spend just as much time in a day as a high-end seller. Accurate. Oop.
Looks like your connection's getting a little wonky.
Mine is?
Yeah. Yeah, you were all froze up. At least on my end, you were all froze up.
Yeah, you started spinning on my screen too. But I just do a ton of listing and shipping, and then what do I do, Charlie?
Listing and shipping.
Shipping and listing.
Yeah, you gotta reverse it.
Right.
It's the same.
I guess I went the wrong way.
Just flip it.
Yes. And so the work is just different. You still have to work to get to a real income, but I don't want to try to chase down buyers for $10,000 cards. That doesn't really appeal to me. So we got a bunch of answers on here, and of course they're all right because they use calculators. $5.72 an hour. Yes. Oh, Aretha Franklin joined us. Patient Picker is in here. Average Dave's Cards is in here. Welcome, everybody. Yes, that's accurate. Isn't that crazy? That's not very much money. If you sell one $10 card that you bought for $1 after eBay fees, you made enough money in that hour to put towards your $50,000 a year income. Right? It's crazy. Yeah. No, you have to do that every hour for 24 hours a day for 365 days a year. So there's going to be some hours where you miss that, but then there's going to be some hours where you get a couple $100, right? So you should, if you're adding a lot of consistency to it and you have enough, listings and things like that, you should be able to easily hit those numbers. Excuse me. Still getting over a cold. Sorry, everybody. Let's see. What was he wearing, Charlie? There was a kid in a Gengar shirt that came up to me like 4 times and bought. He didn't have a Gengar shirt on, did he?
No, I'm horrible about that. I could care less about clothes as I sit here in just a plain gray t-shirt. I have no idea what he was wearing. But
Pristine Breaks tonight. Represent.
I'm not familiar with the name Gengar, so I don't think he's got anything with that.
Gengar's like a big purple, kind of ghosty looking monster Pokemon.
Doesn't sound familiar. No. Oh, okay. Yeah. That is a Pokemon. I don't remember him wearing a Pokemon shirt. I was guessing more it was going to be like a Badger sweatshirt or something, but I have no idea.
I don't remember either. That's not good for me either. Go watch my video. I'm sure
Quite honestly, every time I came back to the table, he would leave the table and go do some shopping of his own, and then he would come back, and then I would leave.
Well, and same for me. You and I rotated out too.
Yeah.
I will always be a buyer at a show. Always be a buyer. If I max out my 66,000 listings and decide I don't want to pay up from there to get more listings, maybe not. Maybe I'll sideline it and just sell stuff and only buy when I have to. But I have a lot to go before I hit those numbers. Let's see. I just recently resolved an issue with a customer. Once it was resolved, I sold 4 cards fast. Do you think I readjusted the algorithm when the issue was resolved? Enjoy the show. Get well soon. Thank you so much. I'm feeling much better already. I don't sound so good, but I feel good. Yeah, so I actually think you're onto something there. I think anytime you have any kind of popped issues on eBay, like a late shipment or a request for a refund or not received item, something like that. Yeah, I think that's something you could have a problem with. So it's very possible that resolving that issue and taking that one issue out of your eBay profile was enough to throw you back into favor. That got you in front of some buying eyes that didn't see you before. Do I know that for sure? No. So here's the thing about the eBay algorithm, right? I hear about this all day long because of the YouTube community and all that. The algorithms. They're never going to tell you what that algorithm is. Also, I don't even know that they know exactly what that is because there's so many factors that go into it. So it's kind of like the Bush's baked bean recipe. The dog knows the recipe, but he's never going to tell anyone. And even if he told you, you wouldn't be able to understand him, right?
Well, you know who knows the algorithm?
There it is.
He's not telling us though.
He just gave you the answer. And if you can't understand what he said, maybe we have to teach a class on goat speech therapy or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Recently discovered Logical Collectibles has joined us. Thanks for joining the show. Well, welcome. Happy to have you. Recently discovered the Dollar Box channel. Love your content. I'm an LCS owner in Indiana. Love seeing different eBay seller strategies. Well, thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. I try to put as much fresh content out there. I think there's a lot of like entertainment content in cards, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't believe there's as much education or like sharing experience or transparent type stuff on YouTube. So that was something that I wanted to try to bring. I don't make very good videos. I say that all the time. I'm very rookie when it comes to editing. I don't have expensive software. I don't have expensive video equipment. I don't have, I'm not the sports card investor. I don't have a whole team with fancy TV crews. I just want to make content that I feel like someone else could get something out of. And it sounds like you did, and I truly appreciate that. Give a shout out to the name of your LCS. Is it Logical Collectibles? Is that the name of your store? Because we can blast you out there, and maybe you'll get some more customers through your door. And it's fun to have store owners like brick and mortar store owners on here, because we talk about all the eBay sales strategies because we're all virtual sellers, and the strategies are totally different in a store or even a card show than they are selling on eBay. So it's really interesting to hear all those different experiences from different avenues of where people are putting their cards. I was telling Charlie before the show started, I was watching the interview on Jeff Wilson's show, speaking of sports card investor, who is interviewing Mama Breaks. And she was a third grade teacher, I think it was third grade, during the pandemic. So she was teaching from home. and there was all the hoopla in the card market. So she had bought a couple packs and started dipping into cards and learning more about them. She had gotten some cards when she was a kid. And so she decided she had gotten a pretty good following on Instagram, 1,000 subscribers or something. So she decided to do a break. And she made a little, actually, she said she's not even sure if she made any money on that break. But she did sell the break out and she broke live and it was fun and there was chat activity. And so made her want to do more and more and more. And she eventually left her teaching job. And so it was really interesting, that conversation about, well, you left a job with a paycheck and, how could you do that? And, what did your husband think? And it's like, you know what, if you're going to do something, you got to commit to it. If you're going to be full time, then you got to be full time. So that's what she decided to do. She's like, I got a teaching degree. I can always go back and be a teacher again. There's always going to be a need for teachers. It's not like giving up your job nowadays is that big a deal. You can kind of go get another one. Like, there's lots of jobs out there. Yeah, so it's, I guess it depends on what you do and, how much you enjoy what you do. But it was just so really interesting to kind of hear her experience in it and, what she does. Now, she does mainly Instagram Live breaks, whatnot, and I think she uses one other source. I can't think of what it was. But yeah, so totally different avenues than card shops and card shows and eBay. And so yeah, you have to kind of find what platforms and stuff fit for what you're trying to do. Aretha Franklin says, yes, reinvest before the year ends for tax purposes. I'm spending lately. Yes, obviously, the more you spend on cards, the more goes into your cost of goods when you're filing your taxes. So that makes obvious sense. Now, if you're doing this for a living, you also have to have income so that you can pay your mortgage. So, the money gets defined a little differently when you need some of it. Let's see. Anyone else having issue with edit promoted listings disappearing from dropdown on the app side? Everything I list now can't edit promote it on app and have to hop on PC for dashboard. Edit promoted listing. So are you editing what your promoted level is? Is that what you're trying to do? Because I just list every card and it's listed as dynamic. So I'm not sure, and I haven't had any problems listing anything or even editing. I've edited quantities on stuff.
Yeah, I will say whenever I want to edit, more than one thing at a time, I always have to go back to PC.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Stewart. I know that's Stewart. He's Philly boy, isn't he? No, there he is, right on call. He always seems to know.
You can never forget Stewart.
I mean, never forget. I made the same noise as Stewart when I tried to figure out the algorithm. Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. I don't think it's a figure out type of thing. I think you just have to, right? It's okay. So it's like, and I think we've talked about this before. It's kind of like credit scores, right? So each credit bureau has its own formula to figure out that score. They'll never tell you what it is, but if you borrow money and you pay it on time, you're doing your part, and that's really all you can. That's really all you can do. The rest of it should shake out from there. Dads and Sons Cards. Kudos to you on working with cards full time and ditching the 9.5. It takes guts to do that. Also, thanks for the Green Bay Show video. Seeing the man in action making buying decisions. I try to do that with most of the card shows. Again, I don't make very good videos, so if you can kind of get past the quality, hopefully the content is there that has some value. And I feel like as long as I have that in my videos, I want to continue to make them. And I get positive feedback, so I appreciate that. I'll do my pickups video too, so that you can better see what I chose to buy. And as I mentioned earlier in the show here, I will also mark on there which ones have already sold, so you can kind of see how you can get how the results sort of came out on some of those as well. Obviously, I bought almost 1,000 cards. I did not sell all 1,000 yet. I don't even have all 1,000 listed, not even close. So, but I do have some, so I think that's kind of fun. I'll be able to show that. I'm so loyal, I roll my eyes when I see other YouTubers make dollar box videos. Kidding, but not kidding. LOL. Room for everyone. Yeah, it's fun, and I think I mentioned this to Charlie too at the start of the Green Bay show when we were looking at our boxes. I said I can remember the first few shows I went to, nobody had value boxes or dollar boxes. I remember walking around the dealers, everybody had their PSA graded Prism base cards in their showcase, that all the investment channels are telling you to buy and grade and whatever. And I remember going around the dealers and asking, and you can even check my first card show video I did in Appleton. I had asked a couple dealers, well, hey, do you have like dollar boxes? And they're like, no, we don't, you just throw those cards away. We're not dealing with any of those. And that's not what they said, but it was just kind of interesting to see how much it's changed now. It's like almost even some of the higher end dealers will have a dollar box or a 50-cent box or something like that at their table because it's just such demand for it. Oh, I can't get to the next message. Weird. Oh, there we go. eBay engineers probably can't explain the algorithm after they programmed it. It has a mind of its own. I'm sure you're not wrong. I would imagine the eBay engineering team is a giant team, and no one person knows the ins and outs of the whole thing. Probably for security reasons as well. I'm going to guess that the Indiana LCS guys is Vintage Sports. Jacques from Angola, Indiana. Okay, we'll see if he acknowledges that. Correct. Same name. It's south of Lafayette. So you were wrong, Bargain Boxer. The name of his store is Logical Collectibles. He's south of Lafayette in a small town called Linden. I'm closed temporarily for a bit due to a back injury. Oh, that doesn't sound fun. Getting better though. Well, get well soon. Hopefully you're on the mend. And can somebody open the store for you? Do you have somebody who can help you run it? That would give you a way to maintain your. I don't know what Charlie's doing here.
So someone from Indiana, I happen to have an Indiana collectible that I don't know what to do with. So if you have any interest in the Indiana Bicentennial Wagon trip to DC, I have a framed picture from that.
I think that would look dope in your card shop, man. You could be like, I got this from Charlie, the goat's dad, and people will know what that is.
What does it say?
They'll sign it and everything.
Indiana
you could sign it, Charlie.
Wagon, 1976, heading to DC to meet with 49 others.
Why do you have this? Why is that a thing?
Someone thought I might be interested in it.
Oh. Okay. I mean, you like history and stuff, I guess. So.
I do. It was enough for me to look it up and be like, what is this Indiana Bicentennial Wagon train?
Well, I mean, you get something like that, you automatically become inquisitive, right? Like, why does this exist, and what is this?
Right.
And
it was in a box that someone just passed on.
Interesting. Well, you might have found a home for it, so kismet, right?
Right.
MD says your content is exactly the type I like. I don't want a big production with 10K cards. I want raw content that makes sense for most people to participate in. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted as well. And, when I started my channel, I was kind of new back into this too. I wasn't doing this full time. I wasn't even really buying and selling regularly. I was just kind of scrapping around like everybody else. But I thought that was a great time to make a channel to show somebody getting into it and what what angle they want to take in the hobby and, outside of I think some of those, and I've heard this from other sources too, but I think some of those big deals you see on channels, $15,000 card buy, I don't know if those are all real. I'm not calling anybody out or anything, but it just seems like $15,000 cards are not something that sell at every show. I wouldn't think that that's all. a too regular thing, and kind of to your point, MD, it's not really things that regular people can participate in. So
it doesn't resonate with you, right?
Right. Breaks are fun. I know I'm usually wasting my money, but it entertains me. Yeah, it's like going to the casino and pulling the arm on the machine, right? You have to look at it as entertainment first. If you come out ahead, awesome. Hopefully that makes up a little bit for all the times you were behind, right? So, yeah, I don't really buy into breaks. When I first got back into cards, I thought the concept was interesting. Actually, that's kind of what got me re-interested. Not buying into breaks, but I wanted to buy some cards and I didn't know what to buy. So what I would do is I would go on to YouTube channels that were breaking cards and I would see them break boxes so that I could see if I liked the cards, or so I could see what they were getting in them. And that was well before, boxes got ridiculously priced. You could still get a box of Prism for $200 or $250 or whatever it was. Much more affordable than today. But yeah, it was a fun way for me to be like, oh, that Legacy product looks really cool. Let's see what cards they get out of it, and I'll just watch a break. Yeah, so I think it's an interesting way to find entertainment, and I kind of caught myself feeling stupid because my daughter at that time was like 4 or 5, and she was watching videos of little kids opening toys, right? Opening these like blind package little balls and things like that. I'm like, why the hell would anyone watch this? And then a couple weeks later, here I am in my office, like watching a guy open a pack of baseball cards. I'm like, yes, it's a thing. The kids are adults, adults are kids, so pretty interesting on that front. I just bought an 80/40 last week and got Card Dealer Pro. I've listed 473 cards in 3 days. Only curveball I got was it doesn't do well with top loaders because it distorts the image. It does good with Simi. I don't know what Simi is. Simi. Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of people that use Card Dealer Pro, and I don't think it's a bad way to go at all if you're looking for some quick volume. I don't particularly like. I don't want to buy a scanner. I don't want to pay $60 a month for a listing program. I can do it on my own. And I like the slower growth. I don't want to just slap 2,000 cards on there right away. I like having sort of a constant, smaller flow of cards being added to my inventory. So I don't do it that way. But you're on the right path if you're looking for a faster way to get stuff listed, for sure. Charlie and I have talked about this a few times. We even thought about going in on a scanner together, and he uses it for a week, and then I get it for a week, and we just haven't decided that was the right path for us. I buy a lot of this kind of stuff, these refractor, prism type cards, and I don't think they scan very well, and I don't know. I'm still kind of like grading. Like a lot of people like that the grading is done by a human eye, because eye appeal is part of the value of a card. Not robot eye appeal, but human eye appeal. And I sort of feel the same way about these. So instead of scanning it with a machine, taking a photograph where it's more like your eye looking at the card. I don't know. I just like that. That's the way I choose to list. So, and I can do it anywhere. I have my phone. I can go out on the deck if it's nice, take a few pictures, and I know, Charlie, what you like to do is batch your photos and then you just list on free time. Right. So instead of, scanning, I don't like to use my laptop for listing any of my cards. I do it all with my phone. So I don't have to scan everything in, and now it's in my laptop, and then I got to get it into that CSV file to upload it to that CSV file through Card Dealer Pro, and then upload that to eBay. I have a little bit of distrust in the program that it's going to actually list the card correctly. So I don't know. I've gotten to almost 31,600 at this point doing it that way. I'm mostly very part-time, so I'm just going to keep going that route. Ridged. Oh, semi-rigid. Huh.
Oh,
It's a continuation from his previous message.
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes more sense. Hail Mary Hits, welcome to the show. I just became eligible today for top rated seller. Yes. Awesome. Did you guys see a consistent pump in sales after adjusting your listings to meet the top rated requirements? I don't know. Are you there yet, Charlie? Top rated plus?
Yes, I am. And I don't know that I adjusted my listings to get there. It just took time.
Okay, so what she's referring to is once you get to be top rated seller, you can go to top rated plus, and you have to adjust your listings to allow for returns and a 1-day shipping policy.
Which I've always had those anyway.
Okay, so you should see at the bottom of your listings, it should tell you how many of your listings are eligible for the refund. So you get some money off of your sale price, your back end fee. I don't know if you see that at all.
At the bottom of my listings?
I think it's on the bottom of the listings.
No,
I don't know. I always look at it on. I always look at it on my phone.
Yeah.
But anyway, you should have a top-rated seller plus discount on each sale you get. So if you go look at your fees from a sale, it should have a little like minus, and it's like 1% or something. Anyway, did you guys see a pump in sales? I would say no. I don't think that really matters for your sales. I don't think that puts you in front of anybody. I would say that if I got a pump in sales, it would have mainly been because of return customers. I think at that point I'd had more return customers because I was top rated seller. But no, it's so hard to say. It's so hard to say what gets somebody in front of your card and makes them push the buy button.
So, Adam, going back to our top rated seller, if I go to my, what page am I on here? I am on my seller level page. At the bottom, it does talk about the top rated plus benefits, and all my listings are qualifying for the benefits of 10% off the final value fees.
Yeah. Perfect. Yep, that's what you get. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's what she's referring to. And yes, we're both set that way, and I don't know that that necessarily gave me a pump in sales. I don't know. Did you notice that, Charlie?
Not just getting the top seller itself, and like I said, I always had my returns and handling time set to those requirements since day one. So it wasn't as if I changed something to get to that level.
Yeah, I originally had, because there was no benefit to having it shipped in 1 day. You know what I mean? There was no discount until you were top rated.
Mm-hmm.
So I had mine set at 3 days because I was, like I said, I would just do this on my own time. So I was like, okay, well, don't have enough sales in 1 day that I want to sit there and pack it up. I'll wait, a couple days and then pack them all up at once and send them out,
Yeah.
But yeah, once I could qualify for a discount in the final value fees, yeah, that was a no-brainer. But then you got to ship every day.
Yeah.
All right, Tom says it auto inputs 12.6%, which I changed to 2% manually. Always let me edit on same drop-down app side as revise and view traffic, but no longer there for me. 12.6, which I changed to 2%. Always let me edit on some drop-down app. Yeah, I don't know. I don't change mine. I just do dynamics. So I can't tell you that I've experienced a problem with trying to change that promoted rate because I don't do it. I don't think you do either, Charlie, do you?
No.
Yeah.
It's dynamic.
Yep. We don't sell the same cards you do, Tom, so I think it's probably a little different, for what you're moving, and that percentage might have more of an impact to you. So I get why you're doing it. I don't know why that it's not working in the app. You probably have to reach out to eBay or go on the eBay seller forums. I'm sure if you're running into that, somebody else is too, and maybe there's some information out there for that. Top rated is nice for cards. You don't need to offer returns. I was doing 1-day shipping for the extra 10% off fees. Why those pennies were spent not freaking out on shipping times. Yeah. That's what you got to decide. Was exactly my point before I was doing this, where there was a benefit to it. There's no way in heck I was going to rush and ship every day. But yeah, now I have enough volume where it's not just pennies; it's a couple dollars a day by shipping every day and getting that discount. So it's worth it to me. But yeah, you have to evaluate that if it is or not. Jason Edwards Sports Cards is in here. Thanks for joining us. Hail Mary hits, not really, but did see a bump when I went to 2% promoted. Yeah, if you add promoted, yes, you will. Did you see a bump, Charlie?
Yes, I saw a bump.
Yes. Yeah, you see a bump. I hate to admit it, but yes. And it stinks because you're giving eBay more money. At least you get some discount by being top rated seller plus. But yes, promotions are essential. Let's see, I'm proud of it, but I've got a penny box wall in my shop. Penny a card. I love dealing in bulk under $10. Cards also no wagon picture for me. Yeah, you were gonna send it to him for free, and he doesn't want it, man. You might not be able to find home for that thing. Yeah, just pick like a random address in Indiana and ship it out.
Right.
Ship it to like the. Just look up the town hall address, for that area, and just send it to them. They'll probably be like, "This is awesome. Who sent us this?" Just a goodwill mailing. I like the idea of having a penny card wall. That's kind of fun for kids. Yeah, and dealing in bulk is a great way to go. I try not to do it with too much like modern commons or more modern commons, 90s commons, overprinted commons. Just because it's really hard to do anything with them. But yeah, outside of that, anything bulk is always going to be a better deal. I agree with MD. I'd rather watch going through a dollar box than a 20K card buy. Awesome. I'm glad. That's exactly what I want to hear, and that's why I make those videos. One of the first ones I made where I actually showed myself digging through a box. I'm like, who the heck is going to watch this? This is like, it was like 50-cent Bo Jackson cards and stuff. I'm like, no one cares about these cards. And I got a ton of views, and I had a lot of messages from people. Hey, I remember that Bo Jackson card. I had that when I was a kid. It's so cool to see somebody, buying those. And, yeah, so it's weird. When you think you're alone, you're not. There's probably somebody else out there that thinks something you think is cool as they also think is cool, even if it's not actually cool. or like normal cool, Mm-hmm. Don't forget to do like Stuart and that thumbs up like button. Yeah, please give us a like. We like to feed that YouTube algorithm, however it shakes out. And get the content out to as many people as possible. We of course post these videos after the live is done. So if you missed anything or you want to share it, or send it to somebody else that. Or let somebody else know that the video's out there if they want to watch it. Much appreciated, of course. Right, Charlie?
Right.
Right, Stuart? Oh, geez. You beat me to the button. Those bigger cards really just change hands amongst dealers, I feel. Once in a while, an annoying collector fan gets roped into laying down some Benjamins for it. Yeah, It tends to be the fad of the moment, right? Like, oh, everybody's. I remember at the National, all these guys walking around with these stupid Justin Fields cards they were trying to get like $5,000 for. I'm like, the guy hasn't won a playoff game. Why are you spending $5,000 on this guy? Okay, yeah, maybe they're going to be really good this year. He's got some weapons, and I could see somebody being interested in some Justin Fields stuff, but like $5,000 worth, I don't know. It sounds just crazy to me. Go buy a PSA 10 Joe Montana rookie. Well, actually, that's more than $5,000. I'm trying to think of what's $5,000 that would be worth it. But some Hall of Famer goat player. Buy a Stewart card.
Rabbit goat hole.
Yeah. Logical from what I'm reading online. Your shop seems pretty sweet. Hope you recover soon. I hope you do too, Logical. Thanks for joining us. I'll watch a. Oops, I'm having some trouble with the button today.
What did you do?
Yeah, I'll watch. I don't know. I zapped it and then it came back. Yeah, I'll watch a regular rollers all day with high rollers on rare occasion. Yeah. Sawyer's joined us. How's it going? I'm doing well. How you doing, Charlie?
Evening, Sawyer.
Yeah. How's the stew man doing?
Sounds familiar.
Just bopping him on the head. That's awesome. Thank you, Franklin. I try to run the shop as a good atmosphere place to hang out rather than a traditional or transactional place. I kind of agree. That seems to be like the new trend now in sports cards. It's like trade nights, and we got some comfy couches where you could come and open a box if you want, have a cigar in the back, whatever. Yeah. I think that's cool. I think that's the better way to go about it. Kind of reminds me of sort of how comic book shops had evolved a little bit over time, and like gaming stores, right? Like where you could go play Pokemon and they'd have tournaments and stuff like that. Sports cards tend to be leaning more that way now. I think that's, and hopefully if they're hanging out in your store, they'll buy stuff. Like that's part of it too, right? Hopefully it gets you some business. Watch out if any bidding on any T-Law, Prism Silver rookies or Silver Variation rookies, graded and raw. Chill bidder bidding them all up after digging in a bit. Oh boy. It's kind of ironic that you mentioned that because I actually happen to have a T-Law variation photo, Hyper Prism Silver. I don't know. It has a whole bunch of words in it. Rookie card, and yeah, I'll make sure I don't list mine out. I don't need it chill bidded. Just giving us a friendly PSA, and that's not PSA the grading. That's PSA the. Let's see. What does that stand for again?
Public service announcement.
Public service. Public. I kept wanting to say personal. Personal was in my head. Those types of places get that love and community support right on, man. Yeah, exactly. We all feel the same way. How long did it take you to get to 31K listings? Like a super long time. Basically, now, again, mind you, I was just buying cards here and there, so I would list as I had stuff to list. Did it on my own separate personal time, not as a job. I do it by taking my own photos. No scanners, no listing program, so I'm doing it the long way. But I'd say it took me about 2.5 years to get to where I'm at right now. So quite a while. Quite a while, but not an eternity, right? Like it's like you can see that part of your future. You don't need to offer returns on trading cards, top rated or top rated plus. I think you're right. I misspoke about that earlier. I don't do returns either. But I know there's some categories where you have to offer returns to get the discount. So when I was just spewing out the eBay requirements, that just came out of my mouth. But you're right. On cards, you do not have to offer free returns.
Yeah, you're right. On other ones, you do though, because terms it says when you offer same or 1 day handling time, and for most categories, a free 30-day return policy.
Correct. You just need sales requirements and 1 day shipping. Yes, correct. If I was full time, then I would offer 1 day shipping. Yes, you would have to.
So it's kind of funny because I feel like there's like a bell curve to efficient 1 day shipping, right? So right now I ship most days it's a handful or less of cards a day. I have no problem shipping that in 1 day. But then there's going to get to a point where I'm doing enough that 1 day shipping will be a challenge, but not quite enough to quit my day job and just do this, right? And then it's hopefully someday it goes to that point where it's like, okay, I'm going to retire, take my early retirement, and just do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's you're right. There's just like anything, it would have a bell curve. It'll have a starting point where it doesn't make sense to do anything more, and then there's that tipping scale where you got to make some decisions, right? To me, one of the reasons I wanted to switch to 1 day shipping anyway was I started getting so many orders to ship in a day. Like if I saved 3 days worth, it was insane.
Yeah.
I ship every day now, and it takes me a couple hours to pack and ship. I think I told everybody on here, or at least I for sure told Charlie, I decided to take the holiday weekend off and just not do anything other than I responded to some offers and stuff like that. But that Saturday and Sunday and Monday of Labor Day, right? Yeah. I decided not to do anything. Well, it took me almost 8 hours on Tuesday to ship. So I don't really want to do 8 hours of shipping in a day either. I'd rather do, okay, it's a couple hours to get these out the door, and then I can do some listing, and then I can do some, whatever, buying. I can do some send offers. I don't want to fill my day with just shipping. How fun must a penny wall be? Yeah, I think that would be fun. I'd be interested to see what's on a penny wall. That's what I would be interested to see. So, Logical, take a picture of your penny wall. I want to see what it looks like. Send that over to me. We'll share it next time if you're cool with it. Such an awesome idea. I agree. I think that's pretty cool. That'd be the best part about owning a shop, is getting to do like all these fun things, right? I just don't like people being influenced into thinking that's what they should be doing when you can likely make more money quicker on stuff $1 to $100. Cash flow is huge, especially in cards, right? You tie all your money up into one card, you better find a buyer, or you have nothing to be active in. It's tough. Card hobbyists has joined us. Welcome. I picked up a complete 1980 Topps set at a card show last week. Had a super nice Rickey Henderson rookie for my PC, so I guess I'll be listing some 1980 commons soon. Now, you bring up a good point. My one exception to listing commons is vintage. Vintage commons can do fairly well if you have decent quality and you don't ask a mountain of money for them, and you get them cheap enough. You should be able to list those pretty easily and get some money back out of them. Surprisingly, the penny wall is more adults completing sets. Okay, that makes sense. And player runs or favorite teams they don't want to buy online for 13 cents on Sport Lot stuff nobody else carries in my area. Okay, that's cool. I get it. That's a great idea. Yeah, for like completists and stuff, I could see where a penny wall could be helpful. Mainly 86 to 2008 commons baseball for the most part, and some football. I'm currently in a nursing home as a rehab facility, so might be a bit before I can get a picture, but we'll try to get you one. Yeah, no rush on that, man. You take care of you first, by all means. But yeah, I would just be interested to see. I think it's kind of a cool idea. So, like I said, it gets people in your store to probably come in just to look at the penny wall to see if they've got something that they need, for what they're trying to build, and that's great. I think it's awesome. I think we're finally caught up on the chat. Man, it's been active tonight.
See there, yeah.
So, all right. So, topics tonight. We wanted to cover the Green Bay Card Show experience. We talked about it a little bit, but overall, Charlie, how did you feel it went? What did you think of the show this time?
Yeah, I still like it. I mean, I've been to it a few times now. It's been a positive experience every time. Lots of vendors, lots of tables. Good conversations all day long with people about different cards, and it's not. There's a lot of variety too. It's sport. It's mostly sports, but it's all sports, right? And then there was quite a bit of Pokemon stuff going on throughout the day. I didn't see non-sports a lot, like Marvel and things like that. I'd love to see a little bit more there in the future, but
I agree.
But it's a good setup. It's a great facility. It's a good location in town. So, I mean, I like everything about it.
Yeah, and it does tend to bring out all the best dealers in our area, pretty much do that show. So if you can't get out to, in our area, there's a bunch of other monthly shows. We're very fortunate that way, but There's a couple smaller Green Bay ones. There's a smaller Appleton one. There's an Oshkosh one every once in a while. But this is kind of the one where everybody goes every quarter. It's got a ton of tables. I think they're up to 148 tables or something like that. And there's a hotel attached. There's a convention, not a convention. There's a parking ramp with a skywalk, and probably saw a bunch of that in my video. I actually filmed some of that this time just for fun. And yeah, so I just think it's a great show. Matt's a good dude, the guy who runs it. Trying to see here. Yeah, great customers, lots of good people to talk to. We have our regulars that know where we're going to be set up. We've been set up in the same spot ever since the show started, and I just don't see a reason not to do it. And the other great part is it's quarterly. I like that part. I don't need to do a show every month. I'd rather attend shows as a buyer. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. There's a lot of dime box diggers. I have kind of my regulars every show that come and buy a stack of stuff out of there. I try to put some good fresh stuff in there every time. I know this was kind of your first time doing like dime, quarter, 50-cent boxes.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I'm fighting a sneeze here. Bear with me. I like it. So the first time I went and did it, I had some, moderately priced cards I also brought with, and we put out in the case, and then just a little bit of lower end cards. This time I didn't bring anything but 10, 25, 50, and $1 box. And they're lined up right next to your table as well. So we kind of had a long line. You had like 4 or 5 boxes, something like that.
7 boxes.
7 boxes
but one was that smaller FAR 420 box, so really 6.
Yeah.
So really 6 7 boxes.
So what I noticed is people would typically start on your end because you're on the outside of the walkway around the main conference room, and then would work their way down and then continue on into my stuff as well. I think I'll continue doing it that way and just sell out of the 10-cent boxes and quarter boxes and stuff. I will tell you, I came home and the first thing I did that evening first thing I did was took a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing,
it's amazing how much it wipes you out, right?
Yeah. Second thing I did when I woke up is I immediately started going through my stuff again and started tweaking a little organization and moved some stuff between, dime boxes, quarter boxes, rethought some things. So that's the other piece about the experience that I like is I learn from the experience too. What are other people doing? What do you see working on your stuff? What do some other dealers do with, how do they market their stuff on their table and things like that? So I like to see that and bring home some tips and tricks from a large group of people and, listen to people that stop by to, I like it when people do this in their boxes. I don't like it when they don't do this. And just some of those conversations are valuable as well.
Yeah, I think I think that's really the main reason I do it. It's never going to be a huge money. When you're selling cards for a dime, even if you sell a ton of them, you're not going to make a fortune in a day.
Yeah.
But it allows me to clear out some stuff that somebody else will want at a deal that I can't sell online. More importantly, it just gets us out into our community and talking to other collectors and dealers and making sure we have that place. People know who we are and make for good YouTube content, and there's lots of good value to being there. So yeah, we're definitely going to continue to do it. Next one is December 16th. So I've got us down already for our table, so we should be good there. And then that one will be interesting because it's 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
Let's see if that changes the dynamic, which kind of leads me into the next topic I wanted to talk about. What do you think about the Christmas season? Are you expecting an increase in sales at all?
I don't know that I would expect an increase. I think card sales. I mean, I haven't gone through a full year yet, but I don't see anything that makes me think there's big peaks and valleys if you're diversified.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have customers who buy cards as gifts for others. I've seen that in messages, or I mentioned to you I sold a $3 card the other day, and the guy wanted to pay $9 for priority mail shipping.
Yeah.
Because it was a gift for somebody in a couple of days. A little bit different scenario. You don't get that very often. So I think you could get a little bit of that. Last year, I had someone message me and said, "Hey, my husband likes, I don't remember who it was, such and such player. If I send you, can you put a cool lot of some stuff together for $25 and send me the link?" Sure. So slapped together, what I thought were some fun cards for $25, and she placed the order, and I sent her the cards, and her husband was really happy with it. So it can give you some opportunity to maybe not deal directly with a customer, but somebody who cares about the person who is your customer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see with the size I'm at now, if that changes things at all during that season. It's kind of an interesting time of year because you sort of have college football wrapping up, right? You've got the NFL season is getting closer to the playoff picture is pretty obvious at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball gets to be watched more because you have the Christmas games, and holidays kind of tie to some of the basketball season. It's more into its full swing. Some of the baseball product starts coming out at the end of the year with prospects for spring training, which happens in February. So there's actually a lot going on to influence sports card sales anyway, even if it's not necessarily tied to Christmas shopping. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a really, really good holiday sales season. I mean, I don't see a reason to not have that. So we'll see. Let's see what else we got here. If Christmas is better than my summer this year, is going to be nuts for me at least. Yeah, I mean, summer is interesting. July was actually one of my worst months, which is sort of weird. But I think a lot of it had to do with eBay had so many problems. And then end of July, like right before the National, it was like skyrocket. Everything took off. So I think some of it isn't necessarily what you're doing. Some of it depends on what the platform is doing at the time too.
Yeah, but when did you go to your dynamic promotions?
That was beginning of July, I think, like second week of July, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, yeah. But remember, before then, I was like, I have no sales for 5 hours. What's wrong with eBay? There were some obvious things happening that were slowing that down. And it's not like it just affected card sellers or just me. There was tons and tons and tons of content out there about, hey, eBay's turned sales off tonight for some reason. I didn't make one sale overnight, things like that.
Yeah.
Average Dave's Cards has joined us. Welcome. Your pickup and eBay sales videos are the best. Oh, I really appreciate that. I know the quality isn't as great, but I'm glad that you like the content. That's definitely what I'm going for. So, yeah, I used to do like just a regular eBay sales video because that was kind of all I had time for. Was okay, I pulled all my sales, I'll video them quick, and then I'll make something later and put it out. And now I'm trying to incorporate my sales with something with a little more conversational topic where I'm on the camera, which seems to have been received very well. My last couple of weeks of videos. So I'm going to try to continue doing it that way. And I don't show every sale. It just gets cumbersome, and it's I have more sales now, and I don't know that everybody wants to see every single one, but at least I can put some of those in the video as I'm going, and I think that adds to some entertainment value in the episodes. So I'm glad you enjoy them. I'll keep making them. I'm just keep watching. I'll keep making. Have you ever received negative feedback on eBay? Yes, I haven't had a negative feedback in almost 2 years, I think. I don't know, someone's going to call me out on that. It's probably not 2 years. It's probably less than that, or maybe more than that. I haven't really looked, but actually had one about a month ago. Guy bought a card as a present. We were just talking about buying a gift for someone else. Bought one of my Beastie Boys rookies, and apparently, it's really weird because I got those out of a pack and into a top load, so I don't know how anything could have happened to it. But he gave me a negative feedback and said that one of the corners was, fuzzy or something like that. Not that it was, demolished or anything, but it just wasn't mint shape. So I messaged him and I said, "Hey, what is there anything I can do to make you happy in this transaction?" I said, "Can I refund you some money? Do you want to return it?" It's like, "Well, I already gave him the gift." I'm like, "Well, okay, well, you can't return it, so unless he wants you to return it." But we had a nice conversation. He's like, "Dude, I get it." He's like, "No big deal." He's like, "There is a card I'm looking for because I collect cards too. Can you be on a lookout for a card for me?" He's like, I'm gonna change my feedback because you jumped on this right away and tried to resolve my issue." And he changed the feedback, changed it to a positive. So even if you get a negative feedback, it's still up to you how that experience ends for you and for that buyer. Have a conversation with them. Say, "Hey, hey, I'm really sorry. I'd like to try to make this right. Can I send you another copy? Can you return it and I'll refund you?" Whatever the situation may be, try to work with that customer and see if maybe you can get that resolved and not end up with the negative feedback. Can you revise a neutral feedback? I don't know that you can. I do have a couple of neutrals right now. One was like I had a top load that was yellow or something. It was like there was nothing really bad in the transaction. It's just they just weren't over the moon about it, I guess. Hence the neutral. But I don't know. I haven't seen anybody revise a neutral, so I don't know that you can.
I've had one.
You think you would? Yeah. You should be able to revise anything, but
yeah, I had neutral feedback on something when I mislisted a card set, an old 80s card set that I thought was one thing, but I was corrected on it. So I got neutral feedback on it. The guy said, "Hey, shipping was fantastic, shipped fast, protected well, but I ordered this card because it was this, and it was actually a different set that year." So I did just what you said. I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, apologize for that. In good faith, I thought that's what this set was. I appreciate you pointing that out because you actually saved me an issue with a number of other cards I listed from that set. What can I do to make this right for you? Because I really appreciate it." And I think what I ended up doing is just refunding part of his money. So he bought multiple cards. So I essentially gave him a couple free cards out of it. And he went back and revised it for me when I asked him.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to ask. If they don't want to do it, you have to be okay with that. eBay says, when you go to request a revision, it says, if the buyer decides not to revise it, please respect their decision. And you just have to leave it at that at that point. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about this the other day, right? Like we care about customer service. Like one negative is something that would bother me. I think it would bother any of us. And then think about a company like Spectrum, right? Or who's another company that everybody hates? Well, even eBay itself. I shouldn't speak bad about the father of the auctions, um, but you think about some of these really big companies that like constantly get negative comments about it, and they just don't even bother. Look, Panini. Panini is a great example. You get constant negative comments about not filling redemptions and no customer service and blah blah blah. They never do anything about it. They just keep moving on with their day. So it's really interesting how on a giant company like that, they really don't care. And then us who are just, trying to serve a small corner of the world, we care so much about it. So, um, yeah, I would, anytime you get any kind of feedback that you don't agree with, I would try to reach out and see if there's something you can do to make their experience better, and then go from there. Request that revision and see if it works. So, Aretha says the same thing here. I just had a neutral revised. Buyer gave me about 6 feedbacks at once for all his cards. Most were positive, but one was neutral with positive comment. Requested a revision and he fixed it. So it sounds like in that case, he in error gave you a neutral and it should have been a positive. So that can happen too. Yeah, go if you get a feedback, go read it. If it doesn't make sense, reach out and say, I'm sorry, did you mean to make a positive and you clicked the wrong bubble? Because that's possible too. People are doing this stuff on their cell phones and at lunch at work when they open their mail and stuff like that. Give them a chance to look at it and make sure it's what they really wanted to say. And exactly, you figured it was an error on his end, and it was, so it's perfect. Yeah, I was looking at your store, and one of your neutral feedback says "great card." Yeah, I saw that too. It is what it is. It's funny, a neutral doesn't affect your tally though, like your number of. I'm at 100% feedback, so I don't know that it really matters in the end. But yeah, so I have a neutral, and I sent them a great card, so I don't know what that means. When you first started, how often were you going to shows? 0, because I started I started in like 2017, 18, and there really weren't shows, or at least I wasn't looking at shows. I was just collecting FAR stuff, so I was buying lots and selling my extras, and I was making some money on it, which was what sort of propelled this whole thing. And I don't really think there was much for local shows. Then the pandemic hit, and of course there were no shows for 2.5 years or so. And then the floodgates opened. As soon as it was like, okay, you can have a show, but everyone's got to wear masks. I mean, the first probably 3 or 4 shows I went to, I wore a mask at the shows, which is it can be difficult when you're trying to talk to somebody and it's a louder environment and it gets hot in there. And it was a challenge at that time. But yeah, basically right when the shows were able to be allowed, when the pandemic let up, that was when I started going. So I would say that was probably, I don't know, was that mid 2021, something like that? I want to say. I think probably the first one was like March, April-ish time frame. So I'm spitballing. I don't know exactly the date. I don't know exactly when it was, but it was in that time frame. So what about you, Charlie? When was your first show?
I never went to a show until after I started selling cards on eBay this past May, was it?
Yeah.
That was, shortly after that. I'm trying to think now, what's the first show I even went to?
I think it was the Appleton show, wasn't it? You met me down at the Fox Stadium.
Yeah, it might be.
I think it was.
Yeah. And then since then, I've kind of been becoming a semi-regular at going to them. I find it's the best way for me to buy cards.
Yeah, it's you get those bulk deals, but you get to cherry pick the cards, and then you also don't have shipping. You don't have you know, a waiting time. You don't have taxes. There's all these other things. You get to negotiate your price a little bit.
Yeah.
It allows you to find some diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, I mean, when I
so
started, I had a bunch of baseball cards in inventory. I really had no other sports or non-sports. So the most effective way for me to build up some other inventory and diversify was not by buying blasters or buying boxes and then maybe getting 10% of the cards in there that fit what I'm trying to do. It was going to a card show and coming home with 300-400 cards in my hand that were exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, and it's just fun. I mean, it's work. You have to go and be diligent. You got to spend your time in the boxes and try to come up with your piles and what you want to do for a price and what you think your margins are, and for resale. And there's a lot to it, but I agree with Charlie. I believe it's the best way to buy cards. I've really switched my buying model in the past year to where I'm trying to buy 90 to 95% of my inventory for the year at shows, as long as I can get out to enough of them, and I can buy enough. It hasn't seemed to have been much of a problem. I always have more to list than I ever have time to get on. But yeah, it's fun. And just so here's the thing. I think that people like opening packs for the element of what could be, right? It's lottery tickets. But you get that same element of surprise going through a value box, right? You don't know what's going to be in there.
Yeah.
And you could find a numbered Tom Brady card for 5 cents. A $30 card. If I bought a blaster, I'm probably not getting a $30 card out of it. So I think you can kind of get the same kick out of opening wax, digging through some unknown boxes without the large risk of loss, if that makes sense. Or any risk of loss. You shouldn't lose at all because you get to choose if you buy it or not. If you want that card out of the blaster, you got to buy the blaster. But if I want cards out of a value box and I go through it and there's nothing for me, I don't have to spend a dime. So,
right.
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, it's that community support. It's the getting out with the other dealers, and the content creation for me has value. Like, there's a bunch of reasons to spend a Saturday here and there to do that. It does take time away from your family. The weekend time is a personal time for most people, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's also part of my hobby side. Like, this is still a hobby for me too. So it's a fun way for me to spend some time in my hobby versus in my office 15 hours a day, not seeing anybody, right? So for me, that I like that part of the experience as well. Dad and Son says, yeah, it's work, but I love it. Exactly. It doesn't even feel like work. Sometimes card shows can drag on, especially when we're set up. It's kind of like, I've been here for 9 hours. How much more of this do I want to do?
Yeah.
But most of the time when I'm just attending a show, it's like I'm there at, right before 9. So I get first crack at the boxes, and then all of a sudden it's like 1 o'clock. It's time to go, ready for lunch. And I'm like, man, that went so fast. Like, because you get lost in those boxes. It's cool. It's fun. So, what was the last topic for tonight? I don't remember what it was.
You did not share them with me, so I'm not sure.
I didn't. I put them in the title box on here, but I don't know if I can see them. I wonder if it's on my, it might be in my video library here. If someone can read what our topics are for tonight and let us know, that would be awesome. I'm such an amateur.
It's a bold
I don't
strategy,
take myself too
Cotton.
seriously, at least, right? Yeah. I usually put them in the show notes, but now I don't remember what it said. Here, let me see if it's in here. Green Bay show review. Why does it only say Green Bay show review? Let's see what it says. Green Bay show review, sales growth, and I kind of directed that towards the holiday season. And then, good. What are your good daily habits? I thought it would be fun to share some of our good daily habits on growing and just running the card business, card side hustle, whatever you call it.
Say your prayers, take your vitamins.
I'm gonna let you start, Bailey. Do your stretches, brush your teeth.
Daily habits for me. So one is keeping current with my phone. So I wake up in the morning. First thing I do is I open the app. Do I have some offers to review? Do I have offers to send? And do I need to pack up some cards and ship them out before work? Then during the day, if I'm, away from work for anything, lunch or break, kind of repeat that pattern. If I have some photos on my phone of cards I've kind of pre-shot, I'll be listing a few things. But then for me, it's the evening is kind of my core work time. I know, Adam, you're more of a morning person. But for me, it's the evenings when I get home from work or get home from football practice. Normally that's where I sit down. Really the rest of the evening, I'll have the TV on in the background. I'll sit and have dinner with the family, but then I come down to my office here and I'm listing. If I have more sales throughout the day, I'm getting those packed to go out the door with me in the morning. And also during the day, I like to listen to podcasts to do a little research, stay up to date on the market. Podcasts are nice because you can put in the earbud, just hit play, and you don't have to necessarily be paying attention to it every single second. It's almost like you can have it in the background but still absorb some of it.
Sure.
All of a sudden you hear a keyword and you're like, oh, that's a player I've been wondering how they're doing. What are they saying about him, right? So those are kind of my habits, I guess. Keeping up on offers, shipping and listing and shipping, and market research.
Yeah, those are all great habits. I can't find fault in any one of them, and I pretty much follow all of them as well. I will never watch a Nick Chubb getting hit video again. I can tell you that.
Was it gruesome? I didn't see it.
Oh man, the knee sideways, like hit on the side, and it went like that. Yeah,
not good.
That's the same knee where his leg bent the exact opposite way, like a couple of years ago. So I don't know. He might be done. I think he's a little bit older anyway, isn't he? Like 30, which in running back years, that's ancient.
He might be 30. I think he's a little younger than that, actually.
So it's not good. Not good. Definitely out for the year. So, there's that. But I kind of shared in videos before what I do, but I like to come in and the very first thing I want to do is send invoices for orders that haven't been paid. Then I end my listings and I sell similar. So I do that right away. Then I pull all my cards to ship because I always have this fear like, I'm not going to get this done by the end of the day, which of course I get it done every day. But I just want that done because that's like my have to do it task. That's absolutely required for the day. So I do that, and then I decide, okay, well, am I going to make a video today? Do I have a video that I've recorded that I need to work on? How do I want to fit that into the day? And then get everything packed, shipped, make sure I combine any shipments for multiple orders so that I'm not getting screwed on the shipping end of things. I shouldn't say getting screwed, but so I can save on the shipping end of things is a better way to put it. And then list. I try to list as much as I possibly can. And I'll tell you one of my best habits that I haven't shared this before. but I would say at least every once in an hour, I check for offers I've received and offers I can send. And I'll tell you the reason why it's important to do that, like lots of times in the day, not just like, oh, I look at it in the morning and then maybe I look at it at night. For me, why it's important. First of all, when I get that offer, I want to accept it because I want the sale. The sooner I accept it, the sooner I can get paid, the sooner I can ship it out, and we can move on to the next deal, right? So for receiving offers, that's that you're going to accept. That's an obvious answer. But even the ones that I want to counter as soon as I can, because what happens if I don't? They're going to look for that card from somebody else. They might have sent multiple offers as it is to multiple sellers. I want the shot at getting that sale. So if it's a $10 card and they make me an offer of $1, which clearly I'm not going to accept, they might just be shooting dollar offers out there to see who sends them back the lowest price back. So I'm going to send them back as soon as I possibly can, my $8 price or whatever it's going to be, in hopes that they accept it and I get the sale, right? It's the same thing when you send offers. If somebody went on, found that card that you had listed, and they're now following it, they're subscribed to that listing, they're interested in that card. How many of that card do they follow from other sellers? Who's going to give them the opportunity first to make that buy? They didn't buy it at the price I had it listed at, so I'll give them a slight discount and I'll send them an offer, hopefully to get some of that dialogue opened up and maybe make a quick sale, which has been successful. So yeah, I don't mention that much, or I don't even know if I've mentioned that ever. But yeah, sometimes I'm an old man, so sometimes I get up at 3 a.m. to pee. I'll take my phone. If there's offers, I'll respond to the offers. If I can send offers, I'll send offers, and then boom, I'm back to bed. After the show tonight, I will, check whatever stuff I've missed while I've been doing the show, and then look at offers, send offers, and get all those done, and then I'll go to bed. So I think that is something that is extremely important to stay on top of. Not quite as important as listing and shipping and listing, because that's operational. That's the bare minimum you have to operate. But as far as trying to increase and grow and get more, and actually I've gotten messages from buyers back on this too. Hey, thanks for responding so quickly to my offer. Appreciate the deal or whatever it is. So those buyers are thinking about that card in that moment. You need to jump on that moment as soon as you can. They're somewhere literally like I get an offer and I accept it in like 10 seconds, or I counter it in 10 seconds. I'm not going to let any time lapse if I don't have to. Plus, it just kind of like the listing and the shipping thing. It takes them out of the queue. Then those are done, and you're cleaned out till the next time you have an opportunity to look at them and send your offers back. So that's a big one for me. Tom is throwing a eBay account user out there that's been shilling. So take note of that, everybody, if you're looking at T-Law Prism rookie cards. Tom says, much love, stay safe, and enjoy cardboard. Thanks so much for watching, Tom. We appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll see you next week. LOL, to live by, also my newest mantra, trying to live by. Beside being a better me each day is use your free time to build the life you want instead of using it to escape the one you have. Ooh.
Deep.
That's deep. That's deep. I think Stuart said that before, hasn't he? It seems like a Stuart thing.
Yeah, he had a little different take on it. It was something like...
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I see the difference there. I hear the difference, I should say. Like, sometimes I can't even. What would we do without the goat? Like, it was funny. So Charlie and I were at the show. We're sitting at the table together. It was like halfway through the day. We had the goat out on the table, and a couple people had come by to see the goat, and we're like, the goat is the star of the show. Like, we're the support cast. Of this thing. It's crazy, He only ever says one thing, but it's all he needs, right? He has his catchphrase, and it works for him.
the goat has final say on all deals at the show too. When we're like, I don't know, should we take this? Let's ask the goat. Go to the goat.
We don't do coin flips. We don't have 8 balls. We don't do any of that stuff that you see in a lot of other card deals. We use the goat. We just ask Stuart, and he tells us the way. So whether or not your deal is going to get done is completely dependent upon a goat who doesn't speak English. So, I mean, them's the breaks, right? Sometimes it goes our way, sometimes it doesn't. So, but anyway, I think that's all I had for this week. Is there anything you wanted to add, Charlie? We're actually at the 2 hour mark, which is originally our intended target.
Yeah. You know that the only other thing we talked about this week that we haven't talked about on the show is pulling cards when you sell them and pulling from inventory, and how there's always one card every day that's like the socks in the dryer, where one disappears, and you've seen it a million times going through there. Yep. And when you finally sell it, where the hell is that card?
Wait until you have 69,000 cards.
Yeah,
I have listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel. It's definitely not every day. I was exaggerating a bit there, but it definitely feels like at least once every few days. I had one the other day that I just flat out couldn't find. I had to refund the buyer. Luckily, it didn't impact my defect rate because he had bought a couple cards and I was able to ship him the other one, so it was just a partial refund. That's one thing you can kind of escape out of that you get rated on eBay, but just is what it is. Be honest with the customer and say, dude, I can't find it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll give myself an extra day, right? I'll just take a one day late shipment, and I'll try. That'll be my focus the next day. Is maybe it's here, maybe it's there. Sometimes taking a break from it and walking away, you'll go, oh, I think I had that happen to me yesterday, because it was funny because you mentioned you couldn't find one. I had the same issue yesterday. It was a red cracked iced prism, TJ Watt. Okay. Is what I was trying to find. And I know it was from that collection I bought a few weeks ago. And I had some of them in a pile here, and some of them I had already put away. I'm like kind of in the middle of it, which is the worst situation for when one sells for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, geez, it's not in my like players I don't have a bunch of area, which is where I keep those cards. And my wife actually came in here on her break, and we were talking, and I'm like, I know where that card is. And I have a bunch of Prism that I bought a big lot of in a spot in a drawer. I'm like, oh, I took all those colored Prism that I got in that lot. I stuck them all in there, thinking this is where I'll put them then, because it'll keep them better organized, which of course made it harder for me to find. So sure enough, dug through there, found it right away. So yeah, you have to try sort of exhaust all possibilities, and if you really can't find it, and went into the ether. There's once in a while where I have my stacks going on my desk, and I'll knock one off, or the kid grabs one and puts it down somewhere else. I mean, there's just anything you have 69,000 of is probably going to have a placement on occasion. Or maybe I shipped it to the wrong person. I shipped it accidentally. It got stuck to another card. Like,
that was my thought.
Possibilities.
The one I was looking for, I'm like, that had to have stuck to another card someplace, and it stands out. It's a blue framed card. Like, it just scanning through cards, it jumps out, right? And spent better part of half of the day today checking off and on for it, and no luck. So, like you said, just let the buyer know.
If you're convinced that you don't have it, just let them know and send them a refund, and they're going to have to accept that. It's just part of life when you're dealing with multiples of things. If you had 10 cards, there should be no way in heck you would lose them. You start getting up to those thousands, it's pretty rough.
Right.
So it's one of the challenges in what we do. Yes, 2 ex-Joe Burrow rookies I was going to keep for PC, but decided against because don't belong, solisted, and of course couldn't find them. Go through 5K singles and finally look with listed stuff. I wasn't going to PC them. Yeah, you kind of stuck them in a different pile than where you thought they were going to end up going, and that's kind of what I was, exactly what I was referring to earlier, where it's like, is this in my newly listed piles? Is it in my transition pile? Did I already put it in the drawer? Like, okay, I did. Where did I put it in the drawer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's why a lot of times when I first list a card, if I get a good offer on it right away, I love taking that offer because I can literally just pull it out of the pile and I have very little labor involved in that sale. So that's always nice.
I even started to go through my value boxes because I thought, did I grab it and put it in, after it was listed for a while, take it out? But it was a Joe DiMaggio insert. Like I wouldn't have grabbed it and thrown it in my dime box. You know what I mean? Like
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Interesting. Yeah, the good news is on our side, since we're mainly selling, $2, $3 cards, you lose a card, you're out $2. Right. So like your business impact or your financial impact is not huge. It does impact your customer, which sucks.
Yeah.
And it's more frustrating than anything. Like, how could I lose? Everyone gets mad at themselves for losing something. But I lost my mind a long time ago, and I still haven't found it. And it's just you got to get to that point eventually. There's not much you can do about it. Just hope to find what you can, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I must have known subconsciously that I was going to list them anyways. Yeah, and that's just it. You start talking to yourself in your brain, but maybe your action doesn't equal what you're telling yourself, and then now you got a whole other problem.
Yeah,
because it's not even in your head the right way. So, yeah, that's it. We like to talk about the positives on this channel. That's our main focus, but there are definitely these things that impact you daily that are not so fun.
And then you're like, I spend so much time trying to be super organized. How the hell does that get away from me? It's literally like the sock in the dryer.
Well, the thing is with this, no matter how, I guess it depends on how big you get it, but
yeah,
no matter how organized you are, there's just so much constantly evolving. There's cards going in and cards going out, cards going in and cards going out. And then you fill oh great, here's my Joe Burrow section. Well, what happens when you fill your Joe Burrow section? Now you got to try to find another place for it, or it's just, oh, I only need this little section for baseball. I'm not going to have much baseball. And then all of a sudden you got, what do you do with these 5,000 cards? I ran out of boxes, so now I make stacks somewhere. It's just such a monster to deal with, as you're going through that growth. That's why I said when I get to my 66,000 listings, I'm really going to have to reflect and go, do I want to pay up and try to build that out further, or am I like cool at 66,000 and I'll just kind of ride some sales and refill the sales as it goes? I don't know. We'll see.
I'm pretty positive in 2 weeks I'm going to randomly find that card someplace, and I'm going to be like,
probably,
why is it here?
You could contact your customer and say, hey, look, I found it. I'll list it if you want to buy it, or I'll send it to you for free, depending on what kind of goodwill you want to make out of it. Or you simply relist it, and then hopefully it sells again, and you're right back to where you were. No harm, no foul. Other than the original customer, of course, had to be refunded. But
right,
that's par for the course. So if you have 5,000 customers in a day and 4,999 get satisfied and one doesn't, I think you're doing better than most. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We really thank everybody for joining us. The chat was phenomenal tonight. We were running through tons of messages. we didn't even really have to come up with topics tonight. I don't think we could have done it with all of you guys and gals supporting us. So we really appreciate that. Like we said earlier, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with someone you think might enjoy this type of content, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week. And every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, we do this live show. Me, Charlie, and the Stew, and we plan to continue that going forward. Let us know if you have any topics or anything you want to see covered. We'd love to have that feedback. Try to come up with some things that seem relevant to the current time that we can, just so we have some kind of outline for discussion. We of course go off the rails with it, but that's part of the fun too. But yeah, any questions you have, any comments, any yeah. Any great ideas you want to talk about, yeah, please shoot them our way. We'd be happy to incorporate it in the show. So otherwise, that's all I've got for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Peace out.